Welcome to my channel. In this video, my powerful story. Improve your English I married without love. A story marriage is often considered the union of two hearts bound by love. But not every marriage begins with affection. Some start with obligations, circumstances, or social pressure. My story is one of those. One where I married without love. Looking back, it was a journey filled with silence, struggles, realizations, and eventually, self-discovery. The beginning. I grew up in a traditional family where marriage was not always about love but about responsibility. My parents believed stability mattered more than emotions. For them, marriage was a promise to build a life together, and love would come later. At the age when most of my friends were chasing dreams, careers, and even romantic relationships, I was told that it was time to settle down. My parents introduced me to a man who seemed perfect on paper. Educated, stable job, good family background, and polite manners. Everyone said he was the right choice. I barely knew him, but I agreed to the marriage because saying no would have meant disappointing my family. I told myself, maybe love isn't necessary. Maybe respect and responsibility are enough. Our wedding day looked beautiful from the outside. Smiling faces, decorated halls, rituals performed with grandeur. Everything seemed picture perfect. But deep inside, I felt empty. While my friends danced and celebrated, I kept wondering if I had made a mistake. My husband, let's call him Arav, was kind but distant. He was not cruel, nor was he overly affectionate. We treated each other like polite strangers living under the same roof. There was no hatred, but also no warmth. Life after marriage, the first year of marriage, was the hardest. We tried to adjust to each other's habits, routines, and personalities. Conversations were limited to daily chores, bills, and family gatherings. He spent most of his time at work, while I tried to fill my days with household responsibilities. People around us often asked, "How's married life?" I would smile and say, "Good," but in reality, I felt lonely. I missed the feeling of being understood, of sharing laughter and dreams. Our marriage felt like a partnership in survival, not a companionship of love. Sometimes, I would look at couples walking hand in hand, laughing together, and my heart would ache. I wondered if love was truly necessary, or if I was being unrealistic. Attempts at connection. Arav was not a bad husband. He was supportive in practical ways, paying the bills on time, respecting my family, and never raising his voice. Yet, there was no spark, no emotional intimacy. I tried to initiate conversations, share my thoughts, and even plan small surprises. He appreciated them but never reciprocated in the same way. We both lived in silence, like two passengers sharing the same journey but never really talking. I kept hoping that with time, love would grow. But months turned into years, and the gap remained. The struggles. The toughest part was the loneliness. Even though I was married, I felt single. At family gatherings, people assumed we were happy. On social media, we looked like the perfect couple. There were nights when I cried quietly, wishing for affection. I wanted him to notice the little things. When I was upset, when I was happy, when I needed comfort. But his silence was constant. It wasn't neglect out of cruelty, it was simply who he was. He didn't know how to express love, and I didn't know how to live without it. Sometimes, frustration turned into arguments. I would accuse him of being cold, and he would respond with confusion. But I do everything for you. Isn't that enough? For him, love was responsibility. For me, love was emotion. A turning point after a few years, I realized I had two choices: continue to drown in emptiness, or change the way I looked at my marriage. I couldn't force him to love me the way I wanted. But I could try to understand his way of expressing care. I began noticing small things he did, like making sure my car was safe before I drove, remembering my medicine when I was sick, or quietly fixing things around the house so I wouldn't worry. These were his ways of showing love, even if he never said the words. It wasn't the love I had dreamed of, but it was still a kind of love. Self-discovery in the process, I also discovered myself. I realized I had been waiting for him to fill the emptiness inside me, but I needed to take responsibility for my own happiness. I started pursuing hobbies I had abandoned, reconnected with old friends, and even focused on my career. Slowly, I built a life beyond marriage. A life where I didn't depend on his affection to feel complete. Surprisingly, as I grew happier, our relationship improved. I was less resentful, and he seemed more comfortable around me. We began to find a rhythm, not passionate love, but quiet companionship. Lessons learned marrying without love taught me some hard but valuable lessons. 1. Love is not always the starting point. For some, it grows with time. For others, it never appears. Point 2. Every person shows love differently. Some express it through words, others through actions. 3. Self-love is essential. Depending solely on a partner for happiness can lead to disappointment. 4. Respect matters. Even without romance, respect and kindness can keep a relationship stable. The present today, years into this marriage, I still cannot say I am deeply in love, but I can say that I have found peace. Arav and I may never have a fairy tale romance, but we have built a life of mutual respect and quiet care. Sometimes, love is not about grand gestures but about showing up every day. Even in silence. Would I choose the same path again? I don't know. But I do know that marrying without love made me stronger, wiser, and more aware of what truly matters in a relationship. Conclusion: not every marriage is born out of love. Some marriages begin as responsibilities, some as compromises. Mine was one without love. Yet it taught me lessons about life, relationships, and myself.